All right, guys. So I'm going to do something a little bit different to help with any questions that you might have on the primary documents, um, because I know I can't be there in person to answer questions, and it's sometimes hard to explain over email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record, um, just kind of going over the political cartoons and the primary documents for this week, just to give us a basis to help kind of clarify any questions. All right, so looking at the first cartoon, okay, so again, guys, just go through the steps, kind of circling and labeling. This one I'm not going to go over too much because I specifically went over this in the video notes and kind of went into good detail with that, okay? But again, do the steps, okay? Think about what we would circle and label in class, okay? Listing all of those here. Okay. With the historical issue, like what specific vocab term? Again, this should just be 1 to 2 words. Think about something that we would highlight in class. Okay. So what would fit under here? And then with part 3, is this for or against whatever vocab term you put here, and then tell me how you know. Okay. Part 4, what's the message, okay? What are they trying to say in the cartoon? With this, guys, again, just simply summarize what is happening in this cartoon. Okay, and then based on the vocab term that you should pick, okay, and I'll go ahead and give you this one. This one is referring to the Non-Aggression Pact. Okay, so what's the intention of Hitler making the pact with Stalin, okay? What is he trying to prevent? What is Hitler's plan with that? Include that in there. That's kind of a bonus question that we talk about in this one. All right, cartoon 2. This is another one that I went over in the video notes, okay? Again, in part 1 here, not a whole lot going on, but make sure that you're kind of circling. So again, who do you think this is in the middle? It says the appeaser on the middle of his shirt. Again, what do you notice about the symbol on the monster? Okay, again, historical issue. What vocab term? Again, hint, look at this guy's shirt. Okay, so again, you could either put appeasement here or what's the official like name of the agreement. Either one would work. Is it for it or against it, and why? Again, guys, according to this cartoon, it could literally go either way. So your why is going to help you answer the for or against, and tell me what's in the message, what's going on in this cartoon. All right, and then the last cartoon on this one. Okay, so again, who was this figure? Okay, walking in the spineless leaders of democracy. Again, that went over this one in the video notes, so you can kind of go back and revisit that. But again, kind of what are the steps that this person is taking? The first one being rearmament. Okay, so again, what historical issue could this be about? Now, again, not everybody's going to have the same one. Is it for or against that historical issue? Why? And then just tell me what's going on in the cartoon. Really simple with that one. I think these cartoons are pretty easy. Again, email me with any questions. Okay, so you should be working on this on Tuesday. Okay, and I'm going to jump ahead. I'm also going to include the primary document, so you can watch this at any time for this one. Okay, with this one, I'm just going to read it. That way you can kind of hear it from a different perspective and then go through the questions. Okay, all right, the first one, part 1, and he is himself concerned with 10 millions of Germans, 3 millions of whom are in Czechoslovakia. He felt, therefore, that those Germans who come into the Reich, they wanted to, and he was determined they should come in. Okay? So again, you can answer question 2 from that part. This one you can kind of answer once we've all gone through. Okay? Part 3, define right. Literally, guys, just Google that. Okay? And then go back and then right here kind of replug what you define that for. Okay? All right. Part 2 of this document. It was impossible that Czechoslovakia should remain like a spearhead in the side of Germany. So I said, hold on a minute. There is one point on which I want to be clear, and I will explain why. You say that the 3 million Sudeten, again, big clue what he's talking about, Germans, must be included in the Reich. Would you be satisfied with that, and is there nothing more that you want? I ask because there are many people who think that is not all, that you wish to dismember Czechoslovakia. Okay, so again, what document do you think this is coming from? Okay, and then name and explain the policy that's illustrated by this agreement. Okay, so again, clues when he's talking about Czechoslovakia, when they're talking about the Sudeten. Okay, what is he talking about? Okay. All right, document number 2. The President of the United States of America and the Prime Minister of Mr. Churchill, representing His Majesty's government in the United Kingdom, being met together, deem it right to make known certain common principles in the national policies of their respective countries on which they base their hopes for a better future for the world. They respect the right of all peoples to choose the form of government under which they will live, and they wish to see sovereign rights and self-government restored to those who have been forcibly deprived of it. They believe that all of the nations of the world, for realistic as well as spiritual reasons, must come to the abandonment of the use of force. Since no future peace can be maintained if land, sea, or air armaments continued to be employed by nations which threaten or may threaten aggression outside of their frontiers, they believe, pending the establishment of a wider and permanent system of general security, that the disarmament of such nations is essential. They will likewise aid and encourage all other practicable measures which will lighten for peace-loving peoples the crushing burden of armaments. Okay, so what document that we've talked about could this be coming from? Okay, according to one, who is in this agreement? Again, you could talk about the actual people or the countries. I would accept either one of these. Okay, according to number 2, what countries would be example of this in World War II? So again, what countries are being examples like are being repressed or held back? And then question number 4, I just want you to break down what they're saying. Put that in your own words, okay? If you had to summarize it in 1 to 2 sentences, what would that mean? Okay, third document, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation and at the solicitation of Japan was still in conversation with its government and its emperor looking toward the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God. I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. Okay, so number 1, how does FDR's speech change most Americans' view of the War of the United States involvement? So again, look at and think about that poll that we looked on early on, and how is that going to change once Japan has attacked? And then this is speech by FDR occurred after what event? And again, be as specific as possible with that. Okay, and then the last one, Civilian Exclusion Order number 34, which during a state of war with Japan and as a protection against espionage and sabotage, so remember, look at the SPI, spying and espionage, was promulgated by the Commanding General of the Western Defense Command under authority of Executive Order number 9066 and the Act of March 21st, 1942, in which directed the exclusion after May 9th, 1942, from a described West Coast military area of all persons of Japanese ancestry, held constitutional as of the time it was made when the petitioner, an American citizen of Japanese descent, whose home was in the described area, violated it. Okay, so what court case specifically is being described here? Okay, summarize what is Executive Order 9066, so specifically what is being called for. Okay, and then I want you to think of 2 other examples in early American history where individuals' rights or liberties were being suspended. There are 2 different examples that you can do in World War I, Or if you're super smart and remember all the way back from American History 1, you can also use an example from the Civil War. Okay? I hope that helps. Again, please do not hesitate to message me on Remind or email if you still have questions about these.